Get started. Well, welcome everybody to the 2020 fall volleyball season. Thank you all for agreeing to coach. My name is Tony Finley, Director of Hutch Rec. I have on the Zoom call today Amy Conkling, Director of Marketing and Development. Randy Carter is our Superintendent of Sports, and Jeff Conaway, coordinator for youth sports. So that's your team this year that'll be walking us through this volleyball season. We're excited to get started. It is going to look a little different, obviously, with the COVID situation. Do expect some changes, maybe. Well, I don't know what to expect, so I won't even predict. The agenda today, we're gonna go over what the COVID guidelines are for volleyball, and then we'll talk through the communications, both between you all, the coaches and the players, and with Hutch Rec and so forth, and then we'll have a chance to ask questions about rules and so forth. Also in the chat, you'll see some links to the coaches packet. We're going to share that on the screen here in a little bit as well. So we'll start with the COVID guidelines for volleyball. This will be Hutch Rec's first program indoors. We had a very successful summer as far as the virus goes with our outdoor events that we had. We had no issues with the guidelines and how that all looked for us. But up here we have what this looks like for volleyball. Contact tracing is still a thing that's obviously done through the health department. So if we are notified of, or we're told of a positive case, we will contact the health department, and then they will handle it from there. Mask usage, this is indoors. So we are going to ask that all parents and spectators having masks during while they're inside the facility, but we're only asking that the coaches and the players and the officials have masks in and out of the facility. So once they're on the court, or in there on their bench, if you will, they do not have to wear a mask. They're welcome to. We're obviously not going to restrict that if people want to wear a mask, but we're not going to require it. Just to note with our staff, with the exception of the officials, they will have a mask on. We do staffing checks with all of our officials as far as making sure that we know how they're feeling, not feeling like they have a temperature and all of those things. But fortunately for volleyball, there's not a lot of, you're not real close to our officials for this sport. Scheduling, we are scheduling a little extra buffer between the games just to make sure we don't have a lot of crowds out in the hallways. We will have disinfectant available by each team bench, just like we did this summer. So if there wants to be extra cleaning going on by the coach or a team parent, as far as the seating goes, you're able to do that. We will be spraying down those chairs in between games. Volleyballs and will be disinfected before and after each game, or in between games, I guess. Continue to emphasize minimal physical contact. So after the games, no high fives, those kind of things. Each coach, you guys can all come up with a way that your teams can recognize the other team. And then, of course, we'll have a lot of signage and rules in place. So that's what we've got laid out. If you have any questions right now on this, please enter that in the chat. We'll be happy to respond to those when we get through the next phase. So right now I'm going to turn it over to Amy Conkling. She's going to go over communications and brief you on the coaches packet, and then we'll respond to any questions we might have in the chat room. Amy?
Okay, so I'm going to close this COVID guidelines, and the next link that you have is that volleyball coaches information packet. So I'm going to throw that on here. And we're just gonna go through some highlights real quick of this packet. Feel free to print this off. We'll also have printed copies available at our downtown office if you need them. as the season goes on. But I'm just going to scroll down real quick and see this. You're more than welcome to open it up yourself and look through it as I talk. But as Tony said, your main contact this season is our youth sports coordinator, Jeff Conaway. You'll see his information right here, his email, and he's at our Hutchrec downtown office, so you'll have that number there. And then our superintendent of recreation and sports is Randy Carter. So those two individuals will be your go-tos as far as the staff goes with Hutchrec this season. As always, though, if you have questions, and you're more than welcome to talk with Tony and I as well. So the four of us can find answers for you as the season progresses and you need information. The biggest thing that we have for coaches, and I'm going to scroll down here under the coaches information on page 3. The biggest thing for you is that communication with parents. We have a lot of returning coaches. I think several of you know the drill as far as communicating with your parents, but just a few reminders, or if you're new to Hutchrec and coaching, over communicate with them. The biggest thing is not to assume that parents know the details, especially if it is their first year playing. Or maybe their first time doing a Hutchrec sport. Make sure that you over communicate with them. And there's a variety of ways that you can do that with your team. GroupMe is a great app if you don't use that, or maybe another app that you like to use. Group text is also nice to have. We provide you with a roster, and our rosters will be ready tomorrow. Jeff and Randy have been working on those finishing touches today with all of your rosters. And so I'm going to go through the schedule here, but tomorrow those will be ready to either be picked up, or you can request it by email and they can send a PDF of it to you. On those rosters are email addresses and phone numbers for the contacts that we have in our system. If you are not able to get a hold of a player on your roster, please let us know right away and we will track down the information. Usually it's something that they changed a phone number or there's a wrong email address, but we would really encourage you to do both. Send them a text or a phone call and email them. So double up on players that you may not know. I know a lot of you guys know the people on your roster, but make sure if you don't know that player, that you get confirmation from them of what the best way to communicate that with them is. So we ask that once you get your rosters tomorrow, you take the weekend in contacting your players. We would like all players contacted by August 24th. And the main reason why that is because you can start practicing on August 24th, that week. We'll open up practices. So I'm going to move down here a little bit. And when I talk about practices, just a side note, if you are a Little Diggers coach, first and second grade, you will not do practices during the week. Your practices, you have a 30-minute practice time on Saturday right before your game that's 30 minutes. So let's say your schedule says you have a game at 9 a.m. on Saturday. Those first 30 minutes will be spent practicing, and then at 9:30 you'll play a team from the league, like a traditional volleyball game. So you do not have to worry about scheduling practices if you're a Little Diggers first and second grade volleyball coach. For our 3rd through 6th grade coaches, as you see on this schedule grid and on page 3 of the coaches packet, you can start signing up for practices tomorrow. When we give you your rosters, you can either call us or you can stop by our downtown office. We're open 9 to 5 and we're located at 17 East 1st, right across the street from the Fox Theater. You'll also have, if you have any equipment that needs to be checked out, we have that. And you'll see again, the rosters will be available on the 21st. Then on Monday, the 24th, from our coaches packet, you will see there's a code of conduct that you will need to sign. That agreement is due, and then there's an info sheet that's also due in the packet. That info sheet basically has your contact information, your assistant coach's contact information, your shirt sizes for a coaching shirt, as well as we allow you up to 2 requests, either a time or a date. If there is a Saturday between September 12th and October 17th that does not work, we try to honor up to 2 requests. So you'll want to turn those in on Monday as well. And then, like I said, the week of August 24th, practices will begin. I will go over that in a little bit about our practices, especially this year with COVID. We are limited on facilities that we are able to, that we can use. So I will touch that part of the practices later on here in a minute. August 31st, Jeff will have all of those schedules for the season. He's going to take a week from your coach requests being due. He's going to work on those, and on August 31st, we will post those schedules. He will email those to you, but we will also post them on our webpage. That link that I sent you where you can access your packet, that is the same page that we will have your schedules for each league posted. The following week, Labor Day week, we will have our shirts available. Again, Jeff is going to email you when shirts are available to pick up. Every player on your team gets a shirt, and then a coach and an assistant coach will get a shirt as well. So be on the lookout for that email the week of September 7th, so you have those shirts ready to go for your first game day, which is September 12th. Games are played on Saturdays. We're still working on locations, so that will be on the schedule where your games are being played. The following week, September 19th, is our picture day. And then October 17th will be the last game. So you'll notice there will be 6 weeks of games. It's actually an 8-game season, so there will be a couple of weeks in there where you're going to have 2 games played. But again, your schedule will reflect that. And in the packet, you will see all of this information and more details. You're also more than welcome right now, if you have questions related to that schedule, you can put that in the chat and we will start answering those here in a minute. Going on down, practice information for 3rd through 6th grade. You will see in the packet, there is a listing of the practice facilities and the times that we have available for you. Right now, we are only guaranteeing 1 practice per week per team. That is because with COVID, we are limited in what we are offering. We have Morgan Elementary School, and you will see here that you basically have a court. You can choose from a 5:30 or a 6:30 1-hour practice, Monday through Thursday. Again, this is first come, first serve. So come tomorrow, you'll want to either email or call Jeff. I would strongly encourage that you have a time, first, second, and third choice time. So if Jeff runs out of room and space, you have other options available. Our second location is Hutchinson Middle School 7, so HMS 7. There are 2 courts going, and you also have 2-hour choices to choose from. That facility is from 6 to 7 or 7 to 8 on Monday through Thursday. So those are your practice options. Again, take a look at that in your coach's packet. Talk to your assistant coach. Try to come up with 2 to 3 times and options for that practice. And if you have any questions about practice, feel free to put that in the chat. We're not going to go over rules tonight. They're pretty self-explanatory. So we have just the 1st and 2nd grade little digger rules, and then we'll have 3rd and 4th grade rules, and then 5th and 6th grade. I will say that we were able to have enough teams in each league to have single grade leagues. So we'll have a 3rd grade league, 4th grade league, 5th grade league, and 6th grade league this year. And then you will also have in your packet those guidelines that Tony went over, specifically for volleyball. And then our coach's code of conduct and that coach info sheet that I talked about earlier that we will need turned in on Monday. So with that being said, I'm going to turn this back over to Tony. I'm going to stop screen sharing, and I'm going to start facilitating any questions and let Tony take over.
All right. Thanks, Amy. We don't have any questions in the chat at this time. We'll give everybody just a minute if they want to add something. So not wanting to end on a bad note, but we do need to stress we need your help with this mask guideline that we're going to try to enforce. This is a non-negotiable thing. I know right now if you walk into Dillon's and you don't necessarily have a mask on, nobody's really pushing you back out of Dillon's. But for us to use these facilities, we have to follow the mask rule for our spectators, okay? And so staff is directed to kick parents, spectators, people out if they're not following that rule. So if you all could do us a favor and from the beginning of communication with your parents, be very clear about what that expectation is. I don't want to have to come back and cancel the season because we're not able to follow the rules that the facilities are asking us to follow. So again, your help is much appreciated. And please try to respect staff. You'll see Jeff there a lot. You'll see Randy, but there's going to be a lot of just part-time supervisors that work these facilities for us, and we really don't want to put them in a situation of conflict if we don't have to. So, okay, we've got some questions. We'll go ahead and go through those real quick. Assistant coach required or recommended? No, it's not required. We do recommend it. That way, if something comes up in your schedule, you have a parent there that can step in and continue and just help you with your practices. So always a good practice. If you're by yourself right now, your first meeting with your parents or that first practice, ask one of them to step in and help you. A lot of times, if they know they don't have to be the head person, they'll do that. Morgan on Wednesday and Thursday has 2 listings for the same time slot. Well, we'll have to check that. So to clarify on Morgan, for the Morgan School, that is a 1-court facility. And so there's only 1 team for those 2 hours is how that works. And so there'll be 1 team, I believe the time was 5:30, and then there's one team at 6:30 for those 4 days is how that works. If I did not answer that, please let me know. Yes, you can pick up your paperwork tomorrow at the downtown office. You can also schedule your practice at that time as well. We do have some equipment. I believe if you're practicing at Morgan, somebody shake their head on staff. If you're practicing in Morgan, we will give you some volleyballs. If you're practicing at HMS 7, those balls are already there, so you will not need to pick up equipment if you're practicing at that facility. There is no limit on the number of people that can come to the game. Again, at this time, we're asking that just everybody that comes in be respectful of the mask rule. Try to social distance as best you can. One of the reasons we're spending a little bit more time at HMS 7 and Morgan, and Morgan's not fair, but HMS 7 is there's a little bit more seating there than at the sports arena. So you will be able to spread out a little bit more at that facility than you would at the sports arena. So that was all the questions in the chat at this time. We'll give everybody just another few seconds here if there's one more question. Okay. Well, again, we thank you all very much. We know taking this on is a big ask, and we definitely appreciate it. I know the kids appreciate all the time that you put in for this. We're hoping for a complete and successful season, and appreciate your cooperation through it all. So with that, we'll tell you all bye. Thank you all.